This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is June 3rd, 2024. Today, I want to talk about U.S. government policy on presidential elections, and specifically the Trump trial. What I want to talk about is how the trial was conducted and what was said about the candidate, sensationalizing media and news outlets. Can the former president be elected again? New York law observations, opponents of the president saying what he will do. I want to start with how the trial was conducted and what was said about the candidate. And this is twofold. I'm talking about what the news media's sensationalized and also what they keep saying if President Trump gets reelected. Watching the trial and seeing that the rest of the world was seeing how we conduct business was embarrassing. We were sensationalizing on the media night and day, covering this trial for hush money, which in New York, for some reason, they made a felony, and they had this trial going for 35 or 40 days, and they were showing it nonstop. In the meantime, the news outlets were putting out all of this information about the president that had nothing to do with what he was in court for in the first place. And he kept using the term, yes, he'll be the first one convicted of felonies and all of these other things. That was just embarrassing to have the rest of the world see that. Can the former president be elected again? Yes, he can. The legal requirements for presidential candidates have stayed the same since President Washington. A presidential candidate must be a natural-born citizen of the United States, a resident for 14 years, and 35 years of age or older. So there is nowhere where it says that if you're convicted of a felony that you can't be president. There is also no reason why President Trump would have to go to jail. If you look at what the charges are and how he can be sentenced, there's just no way that a first-time offender being 77 years old is going to be put in prison. New York law observations. It was embarrassing. And no matter which side you're on, and you really have to think about it, hey, what if this was me? I made a business decision and my people executed it, and my people didn't tell me that I shouldn't do this action, and now I'm getting popped for it. Normally what would happen is if people were using money to do something and they were using their business, they would be fined and then they would go on with their lives. New York, and I'm not an attorney, but I am an observer, and I listened to part of it. It didn't make sense, and quite honestly, his former lawyer, Mr. Cohen, should have advised him not to do it in the first place. So the president or former president probably thought that he could do that. The other part of this is, what are the opponents of the president saying about what he will do if he gets reelected? This is a deeper concern to me because They are acting like that the former president, if he gets in office, will somehow become a tyrant. And there's no way that he can do that in the first place. And it's misinformation. What can a president cannot do? A president cannot make laws. They can't declare war. They can't decide how federal money will be spent. They can't interpret the laws. They can choose cabinet members or Supreme Court justices, but they need to have Senate approval. And the media has really gone after President Trump, saying that he's going to do this and that, and he's going to change the way that the country is forever. He can't do that by himself. Congress has to agree, and the Supreme Court, through laws, has to affirm that. And setting precedent the next time a presidential candidate gets in trouble. We have set a dangerous table in general. With them coming after President Trump, anybody running for president in the future better beware, because if they make any mistakes, that's going to come out, because the other side is going to come after these people, even if it's been 20 years ago. And that's the sad part of it, that people can go back 20 years and make something into a big deal that could just ruin your career. They can ruin your family. And that is very troubling. This Trump trial has been, as President Trump said, a disaster. And most people, my observation says, don't agree with the attention that it got and just the ferocious nature of it being sensationalized on TV, what they were saying about the guy. Here's what could happen on election night, and this is something that you should think about. What happens if a state refuses to certify the election vote because the candidate is a felon? We do have 50 states, and remember that they were trying to use the subversion clause in the Constitution to say that the president wasn't even eligible to be on the ballot. And this Trump trial has really shined light on a huge problem in the country with, if people don't like you, they are going to ferociously come after you and your family. And we just touched the surface of what's going to happen when the cases come up for the January subversion about the presidential election, the classified documents, and it just seems like that this isn't going to end. During this time that the Trump trial was going on, the president didn't get to campaign and tell the American people what he was going to do for the country if he gets elected. We've got serious problems like the deficit, like 2 wars, Social Security. And I challenge anyone listening to tell me when was the last time that was being talked about. This is embarrassing, and our country is better than this. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Let me know what you think.